close with each other, and we all looked out for each other. So it was like if we came outside, we knew who was who, you know, and if they came from other areas, we knew.
Twin City. You don't know about this Twin City, boy. Out from Ronnie, Bronx Original 179. Old bread.
I love it because we're a family. You know, I grew up here. Not only the fact that I grew up here, but I'm raising my kids here. My oldest daughter is 24, and as a single parent working and going to school, she would go to school at IS, which is now 214. And if there was anything, I knew she was going to be okay. I would be gone for endless hours, but I knew she was going to be all right because the block was going to take care of her.
Just being together, being with each other, like that blackout, 78 blackout, we all came out with our grills, whole families, my sister, my mom, Miss Brown, Kuda, my sister Kuda, everyone, Miss Martin, Mark Carter, all of us came out with our grills. They went out pool to spoil that night, so we started a little celebration all day long, nothing but fun, and that's part of what we're doing now. It's a celebration of Lambert Houses.
I like what they did. The rooms, you can throw a rock and hit everything. You know, they're so small. Yeah, very small for a high price. You know, so a lot of people can't afford it, and that's my biggest thing, is you're knocking down and make something, okay, beautiful, but people can't afford it. So where are they going to go with?
It's not the same Lambert. Lambert is always known around the world. People that, you know, I've come in contact with that heard about Lambert, there were the up and down, and how the buildings were connected. That was the uniqueness, that we had an upstairs and a downstairs.
You don't want to move in there because the apartments are too small.
They are small.
Okay, so
my mom moved over here.
Okay, she likes it?
It's good for her. Okay. It's good for her.
As life is, everything has to change. So now we have a new building, 988, and they're getting ready to tear down the rest of the building. So within probably the next 8 years, 9 years, you're going to see all these buildings gone with new buildings up. So it was good to grow up around people and to experience everybody, and to see how it was back then, the way that it is right now. And now it's time to move on to bigger and better things. So once these buildings are down, we'll see how everything turns out. I hope everything turns out really well with the new building.
Hello, everybody. How you doing? Today, I have a special guest, a former resident of Lambert, Miss Pamela Nichols. Everybody, welcome Miss Pamela Nichols. Welcome, Pamela, to Lambert House Documentary Spotlight.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
How are you doing, Pam?
I'm doing well. I can't complain. You know, life is good. My family is good. Health-wise, we're doing okay, and we're blessed.
Oh, I love that.
We're blessed.
I love that. Well, Pam lived in Lambert. Oh, back in the days when I lived in Lambert. Do you remember when you moved to Lambert Houses?
I remember exactly the day that we moved into Lambert. I had just graduated junior high school 22 in the Bronx.
Okay.
And I was entering Taft High School. I was just entering high school at that time. It was 1973, and it was August 20th of 1973. On August 25th, I was turning 14 years old, and that was in 1973. So that is when we moved into Lambert, and we couldn't even find our apartment. Carol Parker, you know the Parkers, Rod, Debbie, Daryl, Fred. Carol had to show us where our apartment was because my mom had forgot. Because when you go into Lambert, you go into a second side of it. So you have to go through the exit and go over to the other side. And that's where our apartment was. So my mom had forgot. So Carol was the one who showed us where our apartment was.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So that you remember it exact, Pam. Wow.
That's right, because it was 5 days before my birthday. How could I ever forget?
That's right. That's right. So how was it when you moved in, when you guys first moved in? How was the neighborhood?
It was wonderful. I mean, you know, it was a brand new experience because first of all, I don't know if they had apartments that were made like Lambert Houses that had that duplex feature and effect to it. Like everybody was blown away by that. You know, you walk into an apartment and what you got a whole flight of steps that lead up to another part of your apartment. Like, what is that? So that was the big thing with Lambert Houses. And so it was beautiful. I mean, there were plenty of people that were moving in. And like we were one of the first to move in. I believe that they opened up in 1972. I'm not sure of what month that was, but we moved in August of 1973.
Yeah,
and we were the first ones in our apartment.
Wow, I think they opened up in 1973 though, probably in the beginning of 1973. So, what was your experience like as a young woman, a young girl, I should say, growing up like the neighborhood? Did you feel safe? What did they have going on at that time?
Well, yeah, I felt safe. I mean, nothing bad ever happened to me per se. I met a lot of people. There were a couple of people that I knew before I moved into Lambert, and that was the Harris family: Harry, Harriet, Floyd,
Tracy.
I knew them because I met them through another friend of mine. We lived in the same building before we moved into Lambert.
And where did y'all come from? What building?
We came from Sheridan Avenue and 169th Street, which was like a block away from Taft High School. So that's why I continued to go to Taft.
Okay.
And so, so I knew them. And then you're going to be shocked at this one. Kevin Vanderhurst, Dax, as people know him.
Right.
His mom lived right underneath us in the building that we lived in before we moved to Lambert.
Wow.
So she moved there first. And then we came behind her because I believe that Miss Lillian told my mother about Lambert. And she was like, oh, well, I have to do what I have to do to get out of where I am and try to get in there. And she was accepted. And that's how we got in, from Miss Lillian telling my mom about Lambert.
Wow.
So it was a great neighborhood. I mean, it was brand new. We had the Bronx Zoo there. We had that park. We had all of the buses. We had the trains. I mean, all of that is still there. But back then, it was cleaner. It was safe. Well, in some parts it was safer because I don't know if you recall this, but they had prostitutes underneath the train station.
Oh, well, I remember DeVoe.
Yes. So they had, but that, I mean, what was that? I mean, they didn't stay there that long because you have a community there, a whole community that's coming into that neighborhood, so they weren't going to stand for something like that. Okay, y'all been here for a minute. Well, it's time for y'all to go because now we have our kids, and we can't have that with our kids here. So the Lambert community got together and ran them out. And, after so much time passed by, I don't really remember how much time it was, but they ran them out of there. And so, I felt pretty safe. I can't say anything bad about the beginning. The beginning was beautiful.
Yeah. So you mean they were in the train station under the train station on East Tremont?
No, that was
80th, like
that was Boston Road.
Okay.
Because it was near 1075.
Okay.
Right in there. Yeah.
Oh, that's deep. That's
And DeVoe also, but they were right there. Like you pass by them, you see them, even say hey to them,
Yeah. And how was it growing up? Because your mom was really, really vigilant, and she really was like an activist for Lambert, I think. That's not the word, but she was vigilant. Everybody knew your mom, and your mom was like, she was someone that people looked up to. You know what I mean?
True.
Yeah, and she did a lot. She did a lot for Lambert,
She was a young woman when she moved there. She was a widow. And she was bringing 4 girls with her, 4 young girls.
Yeah.
I was just turning 14, so that means that Danielle had just made 4. Okay, so she was really, really appreciative of being able to move out of where she moved from, which wasn't really that bad. But you at some point in your life you need elevation. So it was from one point to the next point. We lived in a walk-up. We lived on the 5th floor. So, and then we had issues with rodents, and she was really, really like, I got to get out of here, And so when she got into Lambert, she says, I'm going to do what I have to do to show my appreciation. So that was one way that she really showed her appreciation for, being able to elevate. And she did that. As you just said, she did that. She did everything she could. She worked really hard with, what was the name of that program with the food where you would go and there was food from the farmer's market, and it was all separate. So she would go down to the center and get people to come down and help and bag the food, because it wasn't bagged already. Everything was individually boxed.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like potatoes, it was like butter and, cans, goods and all of that stuff. So they would go in and bag that stuff up. And she would organize and, people would wait online to get the stuff. And, so that was just one part of it. She had the meetings, because, wherever you live, everybody is not always satisfied with what goes on where you live. So she was an advocate in that way as well. Just bringing people together.
Yeah, she was a voice. She was a voice that people listened to. I mean, I was a young girl, but I remember your mom. If she told you something once, she better not have told you it again. So I remember that's how she was. And, but I do remember that her being like an advocate and being a part of the meetings, because they used to have tenant meetings and
absolutely
stuff like that. And I remember like Miss Ernestine ran a meeting, she just, and you need people like that. That's probably what they're missing today, because you need people like that in a community. That's what keeps the community tight,
Yeah.
What do you think about what's going on now with the new bills in, the gentrification? What do you think about that?
Well, you know what? Well, Lambert Houses is now over 40 years old, right? And so there comes a time for change. It can't stay. I know that, all of us are not happy with what is happening, but Lambert was falling apart. Lambert got really, really dangerous. And I guess it was just time for new blood, new buildings. And with that comes change. When I was doing my master's program, Harlem was changing. And so my class did a documentary on the rezoning of Harlem. And so, it was pretty much that same type of scenario in which the businesses, those mom and pop businesses went out of business because what's now in there. All of the big box stores have taken over those spaces in Harlem. So you can kind of see the writing, or could see the writing on the wall that probably was about to happen to Lambert. Because what do you have in Lambert? You have the Bronx Zoo. You have 2 trains that run on that same line. You have, I don't know, 5 or 6 different bus lines that run in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
And including in that is a Queens line. There's so much going on, and there's so much vibrancy in that neighborhood and then in that community that you just can't see it falling apart and not do anything about it. So on one hand, I know that some people, have accepted it, and some people are like, oh my goodness, Lambert is gone, but Lambert is never going to be gone.
Right.
Okay. The spirit of Lambert is always going to be there, because Lambert made people family. You came in as one family, but you left out of there with a whole big family, literally and figuratively. Some people got together and they made babies.
Yeah, that's true.
And made them family.
Yeah,
some people became good friends, and that makes us family. Family is not just blood.
Yeah.
So the spirit of Lambert will never ever go away. We're always going to be connected.
Yeah, that's true. That's
yeah.
And you're right. Sometimes, everybody have different opinions, and that's why we have this platform. Sometimes it's about change. I interviewed Pam Seawood, and she expressed how she felt about Lambert. She just wished that it was more community things to do for like the kids like we had when we grew up? Because
Yes.
a lot of stuff to do. We had, what was it, tips and you know,
We had the center, we had IS 67, 167. We had the Beacon.
right?
You know, a lot of those things that I didn't really participate in because I was a little bit older, and, and there's still a lot of people in Lambert that I really don't know. But I thought I was hanging out at TIP, you know, because that was what was going on when I moved in, you know.
Right. Well,
And
yeah.
I just want to tell you a little story that leads into from TIP. Maybe not. But we had a party. We had the Lambert Youth. It was Harriet, Linda Taylor, Jackie Gardner. I think Floyd and Harry was part of it, maybe Face. Myself. We had given a party, and Cool Herc came and DJ'd our party. I don't know if you know that story.
No, I don't.
Came and he DJ'd our party. We went and we got our blouses, and we had the same blouses and stuff. We kind of, and our jeans and our white sneakers. It was such a great night. Well, I don't know who it was, but somebody came in there and had shot the place up. I don't think anybody got hurt, but it was, you know, it was a rampage. So we all had to run for cover, you know, but it was just a great night, you know, for us to have Cool Herc to come in and DJ for us. As a matter of fact, going to Taft, that's how I wound up going to a lot of his parties, because I'm not sure if he went there, but he always hung around Taft. And he gave, you know, he was the one who was giving the parties and everything. And I'm like, all right, you know, where we going? One night we went to the Hevelo, which was on Jerome Avenue and Burnside, right on the corner. Me, Linda, Harriet, I'm not sure who else went, but we couldn't get in because they said we looked too young. That was so that was so devastating. But but you know, it was just those were just really, really good times. And I think, as I was telling you about this documentary that I saw on YouTube last night, you know, it just brought me back to all of those memories, all that good music. Anyway,
you got to send me that documentary because I can watch that
to you. And I said, how in the world did I miss that? I said it was posted in 2014.
Wow.
And they had Hollywood in there. The funny thing is that they didn't interview anybody from the Bronx.
Wow.
And I'm saying, okay, I wonder why. Are y'all jealous? Because we got the title.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, but they said, oh, well, we were doing it too, and we were doing it first. And it's, oh well, sorry, but we got it.
Yeah.
But I still enjoyed it. I still enjoyed it to the utmost. It was really.
I would love to watch that. I just watched the documentary on house music, and it was so dope. Like, I got a girlfriend who sings like house music, and she's like, you gotta watch this documentary. I love documentaries. That's my thing. So Pam, what are you doing now in your life? Because I know you was into entertainment, you was into so much stuff going on. Like I couldn't keep up. I was just like, I knew you was doing something, but I wasn't quite sure what you was doing, like musically and artistically.
Well, you know, since I was a teenager, I always loved photography. I didn't know a lot about it, but I always knew that I loved taking pictures. So that was one thing. And then that evolved. In 2006 or so, I got myself an upgraded camera, and I started learning how to use the camera much better. In 2009, I really got a professional camera. And I really started to learn how to use that. And so things have really elevated since then with photography. Like, I've been doing photo shoots in my house. I've done them outdoors. And so, this is really a hobby. Sometimes I can make money off of it, and sometimes I just like to do it just because. And then I oversee programs at the Department for the Aging.
Okay.
And so I was doing I was conducting an assessment one day and looking through the activities that they have for the older adults. I saw that they had adult coloring. I'm like, oh my gosh, adult coloring. I said, that looks like fun. So one day I ventured out and I went to the store. I wasn't looking for it, but it popped right up in my face. And I'm saying, oh my goodness, let me get a book, let me get some pencils. And that's how I started doing adult coloring. So I did that for a little while. And then I put that to the side. And let me back up before that. So in 2006, a girlfriend and I loved independent soul music so much that we decided to form a business. And the name of the business was called One Nation Under the Soul Shack, also known as O Nuts. And what we would do is we would find venues to have showcases for these artists, and we call them listening parties. So they would come, the artists would come to the venue, and we would invite people. They would come out and listen to their album, which was whatever was new that they had going on. And at some point of the night, we would introduce them, and they got to tell the audience a little bit about themselves, and then we would ask them to sing a song or two. And so we did that for about 4 years, about 4 or 5 years. And so that was a big part of my life as well. And that's why a lot of people know me as Sister Sugar.
That's dope, Pam. That's dope.
So,
I'm like, all my ears are going, bing.
Yeah, so we did that, and people were still talking about us. Like there was another music group that had done something similar to what we did, and now this guy is doing a showcase, also interviewing different independent soul artists. So one of the artists that he interviewed, I just listened to his interview last week. So there was 2 occasions that he brought up where we had featured the same artist that he interviewed. So it was nice to hear that and hear, them giving us props for what we did. People still talk about us every now and then, although we haven't been active since around 2010, 2011, something like that.
Oh my God, that's so.
And so now, the last thing, now, since I'm getting ready to retire next month, I formed a business. The name of my business is called Getting Crafty With It. And so I love to bling things out.
Because you've been crafty. You've been doing your crafting. Yes, I saw that.
I have. So I've been doing that. And I'm hoping to get my website up and running. It is formed, but I don't believe that it's finished yet. I would really like to consult with somebody who does website graphics and things like that. I've been really blessed. I had to take that breath because
that's right.
I feel like I'm talking a lot, and I'm not even a talker.
Yeah, but you do. I love it. I love all of it. So how did you come about the crafty? How did you come about that?
One day at work, I have a girlfriend at work, and she came. She'll always come over and talk to me. We'll go and talk to each other at our cubicles. And so she said to me one day, she says, I live in a neighborhood where there's a Michael's. And she said, I watched people. And she said, every time I go in there, everybody goes to exactly what they want. They know what they're looking for when they go in there. Mm-hmm. And I said, wow. I said, that sounds interesting. So I guess later on that night, I went on to YouTube and saw, put in a search. I forgot what the search was, but I saw these women, and they were crafting things, and I love bling anyway. And so that was what I saw. I saw women, and Black women. And I mean, a lot of them.
Yeah.
Just making things, and they were making things so beautifully. And I'm like, oh my goodness, these things are wonderful. And just the items and the materials that they were using to bring their creation together is amazing. Mm-hmm. So at some of it, I looked at it and I said, I can do that, Mm-hmm. And so I got into it. I started doing some spray painting, just blinging different things out. I'm looking away because I'm just looking around my room and looking at some of the things that I've done so far. And, I've come a long way. It started in 2019. And now here I am, so I decided to go ahead and start the business. A lot of people were telling me, oh, you should start a photography business, but it's very expensive to do photography.
Yep.
And this is something that I really, really enjoy. I enjoy photography also, but it's not just about taking pictures. Mm-hmm. A lot of things go along with that. Mm-hmm. So I can do that every now and then, but this is where my heart is right now in the crafting.
So what are you making? Like, what are you blinging out? What kind of stuff?
I have blinged out flashlights.
Wow.
Flasks. Flasks is something that people use to hide liquor in. I have done those.
Okay.
I picked up shot glasses. Now I have a pair of Crocs that I'm looking at right now that I'm totally in love with.
Okay.
I finished one shoe, and so I have to do the other one. I'm doing wine bags. I'm putting different sayings on the wine bags, and those have been selling pretty nicely. The shot glasses and the flasks, those 3 items have been selling pretty nicely so far.
Really? Well, see, you selling stuff and you doing stuff. Hey, that's what it is.
And the other Instagram page is Getting Crafty With It, and it's GETTIN .crafty with it, and with it is WITIT. Getting Crafty With It.
Yep. All right, I'm gonna put that in the links because people need to follow Miss Pam and get crafty with it with Miss Pam. And I want to thank you. This has been a great interview. Thank you for your stories. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
So it's important for us to share. Like you said, Lambert will always be there, but we got to make sure we keep it alive. Video, this doesn't go anywhere. I make sure it be all over the internet so it doesn't go anywhere. And, you know, it's important to tell our story our way, you know, not nobody telling it for us. So
that is so true.
Thank you so much, Pam, for coming on. And I look forward to seeing you maybe Saturday, right?
Yes. I want to also take a moment, Brenda, to thank you for doing what you do. I know that you have a busy schedule, and getting people together in order to tell their stories is a job within itself.
Yes, it is.
Thank you for working with Herc. Thank you, Herc, for bringing all of us together and keeping Lambert's memory and all of the people of Lambert in touch with each other, because this is a great way for us to keep in touch with each other also, although a lot of us are on Facebook. You know, this is just a great thing, and I thank you for Lambert Houses documentary.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Pam. I'll see you soon.
Okay.